Maybe in a year and a half ago. He was saying, I gotta change up what I'm doing. I gotta do something different. Now, what that is, at the time, he didn't know. But he kept on grinding, kept on seeking information, reaching out to people, until he came up with the business model that he has right now. And give this man the roses he deserves right here and now. DJ What do you want energy right now? More energy, more energy!
Can you hear me? Is it too loud or? How you guys doing this morning? So Charles, I mean, we always have a good time. You and Tammy are the best. I mean, honestly, your intro is on point. I mean, you guys are lucky to have a leadership team here in Baltimore that does what they do, to be honest. Down in DC, Northern Virginia, it's not the same, guys. You guys probably know this, but it's not the same. People do keep it, in general, in my opinion, close to the vest. They don't share. I started in the business, I'll get to that real quickly here shortly, but I started in the business in 2009. There wasn't a place to really go around and get the real information from folks. People did keep it close to the vest, and what I've learned, this is the number one lesson I've learned, honestly, in 12 years, is that as much as you guys, how many guys are beginners here, like newer? How many guys are intermediate? How many guys are advanced, like you've done 100 plus, 200 plus deals? The greatest lesson I can tell you 12 plus years later that I failed to really learn the first 10 years is real estate is a team sport. Whether it's a company that you're going to build, an organization that you're going to build, whether you go to an event like this and you meet somebody, at the end of the day, everyone wants to keep it close to the vest. They want to keep the profit for themselves. It doesn't work like that. And whether you're a newbie or whether you're an expert, everybody has something to provide a value, whether you think it or not. Everybody has value for something in a deal in this room. I can guarantee you that. You might have a person you know, you might have a skill that you have, but it doesn't matter what your level of knowledge is, you all have something to bring to the table. And the faster you learn that it's not an all about me sport, the faster you're gonna grow. That harsh reality that you're all gonna learn. It took me 10 years to really learn that. So without further ado, I'll just quickly go through the intro here. Started in 2009. I was a federal government employee working for the Navy back in 2009. I had already spent about 5-6 years there. I was pretty much burned out. How many of you guys are feeling burned out at your day job? Hate what you do? You're not being honest. How many of you guys hate your day job? I hated my day job. Hated it. I dreaded getting up in the morning. How many of you guys dread getting up in the morning, getting dressed, getting in traffic, listening to a boss you really don't care about? He's telling you everything you need to do. Every day was just a sludge for me. I hated it. I knew nothing about real estate. I remember, how many of you guys have a parent or a close friend you rely on? Like, I remember calling my dad like every day. I'm like, Dad, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. What we got into what we call the development side of projects. And the development side is like everything that happens before you swing the hammer. All that paperwork, all that planning, all that work with the city, the permits, that's all your development work.
And real quick, if you guys have a question, just put your hand in the air so you can come over with the mic. And we have one right here.
So how are you establishing ARV after renovation value on a project? Are you looking at new construction houses that are similar?
Right, like 2020, with this older business model that we had?
Yeah,
to be honest, we were pushing the envelope in Northern Virginia. So like, we were the first builder to really go into Fairfax County Falls Church and do this at a pretty good scale. And honestly, the pushback for many years was like, Josh, you can't get those values in that neighborhood. It'll never happen. Like, people don't want to pay that over there. But we proved over time, over 5 years, that, and by the way, today a lot of builders are doing exactly this. In these same neighborhoods right now, we're out of this game right now, but there's a lot of the builders I'm friends with that are doing exactly that. So to be honest with you, we were taking a little bit of a risk. I mean, if your existing house was going for 550, 600, you were taking a risk to see like what would an affordable luxury house go for? Could you really get $1 million? Could you get 900? And honestly, for a while, we created the trend line. In some of these neighborhoods, we actually created that trend. So in the very beginning, like going into it, some of the higher price points were like 700, 750. And then over like 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden people are paying like 1, 2. And for many years, they're saying like, well, that's impossible. No one's gonna pay that. But good question. Not easily, is the bottom answer. All right. So that's where we were pre-COVID. By the way, around this time, how many of you guys have been on Charles Blair's cruise ship? Charles Blair's cruise. I know you have. Right around this time, 2020, sign up for Charles's cruise. By the way, it's a phenomenal experience. So if you guys have not been on that, make sure you check that out. Met a ton of people on that cruise, made a lot of connections.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. But it was right around that time we were still doing this. And what do you know, I honestly talked to Charles, and Charles says one thing about the cruise, but honestly, guys, I got sick on the cruise ship. It was January, I got sick it was January, right, Charles?
It was January. In fact, I called Josh patient 0 for COVID. He was the first, he had all of the symptoms before they knew what it was on the cruise.
Oh, you're the one. Now we've solved the mystery, ladies and gentlemen.
So it didn't come from China, it came from Josh.
We had just gotten done talking about affordable luxury on the cruise, and the next thing you know, I'm like sick as a dog. And then about 2 weeks later, Charles is like, that's patient 0 right there. And like, I was so sick, oh my God. And then so guys, over 10 years, this is kind of where my career grew. You know, I started to realize, like we talked about in the beginning tonight, or today, that I need to get around more people. I need to talk to more people. I need to do more networking. So that's what I did. Got on podcasts, went to a lot of events, just like you're doing today. And that grew sort of our brand, to be honest with you guys. In Northern Virginia, DC, that really helped us in terms of finding other projects to do, getting in on deals, investing on deals. You can't, I know a lot of you guys want to sit in the back of the room like I did. In the beginning, I was not a talkative guy. I was a programmer in the government in a lab, right? So I was the guy in the back who just stayed really quiet, said nothing the whole time. How many guys are that person right now? Definitely me.
Are you guys seeing a theme right now? I'm just saying.
So what I learned over 10 years is I couldn't be that guy anymore if I really wanted to grow. So this is me really over 10 plus years getting outside my comfort zone, putting myself out there. This is not what I do naturally. If you guys couldn't tell already, I don't do this naturally. This is really not my personality. So this is another thing that is going to be required of you guys to really grow as well, is put yourself out there. You know, be the speaker in the front, contribute something to your community, because your community will give back 100 times, I can guarantee that. Right before all this, I had actually gone to one of our own, I actually started a networking event in DC about 5 years ago. I think it was like 2016 now, or 6 years ago. And we were doing an event, I think it was actually late 2019. And this guy shows up at the event pretty much out of nowhere, didn't know who he was really. Kind of had a little idea about him. And he's like, Josh, great speakers tonight. Can I say a little something at the end? And how many of you guys know who this is? Anybody? So nobody in 2019 knew who this guy was either. His name is Robert Wensley. He's the CEO of InvestorLift.com. InvestorLift in the last 18 months has become probably one of the most profound software platforms for real estate investors in the country, maybe ever. Last year they sold about $16 billion online on the platform in wholesale deals in a year. $16 billion. They're looking to double or triple that this year. So this guy shows up at our networking event, talks for about 10 minutes. This is actually a clip of the talk he did because he recorded it and threw it on YouTube. And maybe like you guys right now, I was like half paying attention. How many of you guys are half paying attention right now? You're like, what's this guy going on about?
You're gonna actually ask him to raise their hand. I'm gonna point him out.
I was, honestly guys, I was half paying attention that night. I'm like, this guy's like talking really quick. I don't really know exactly what he's talking about, but it sounds kind of interesting. One of the things he hit on that night, a couple points that I really had to go back and look at myself, honestly. After that talk, there was a couple things he hit on that I had to think about. He mentioned that most businesses do really well that treat the product like a manufacturing plant. Do you guys know what that means? Most businesses do well if you treat the product as if you're a manufacturing plant. Anybody have an idea what that means? Imagine you're building these remote controls, right? You're gonna mass produce that. Imagine they're all the same, right? If I built 1,000 units like that, 1,000 units are gonna be all identical, right? If I built 10,000 units, they're all gonna be identical. If I did 1,000,000 units, they're all identical, right? Nothing changes. I just turn the widget up and crank more out, right? That's your manufacturing plant. The more your business model, if you're in the product space, looks like a manufacturing plant, the easier and the faster it is to scale. Does that make sense? As a builder, how many of you guys think these projects were the manufacturing plant? Look at those houses. Do they really look similar? Do you think they all had different challenges? Do you think the county had different permit issues, different inspection items, different time frames? The lender asked for different things on different projects. Do you think this is the manufacturing plant?
No.
You got 16 deals and 16 different problems and 16 different time frames, right? So the one thing that stuck out from this 10-minute talk was manufacturing plant concept scales very fast and quickly, right? That's number one.
Yeah.
In the real estate space, especially if you're an infill builder like we were an infill builder. We're doing, we're buying a house there, we're tearing it down. We're buying a house here, we're tearing it down. In that infill builder space, you're not going to be what we call a tract builder. You guys know what a tract builder is? Like a Ryan Holmes or Stanley Martin. You put 300 houses down on those lots and they're almost all the same, right? Every house is the same crews, the same design, the same concept, the same finish. Tract builders have this building space as close as it can be to the manufacturing plant, right? 300 houses there, they're all the same. 400 over there, they're all the same. I realized I could never really get there with this model. I would have to transition from there to the tract builder. And in Northern Virginia, the tract builder, how many of you guys have an idea what a tract builder does in Northern Virginia? Like a Ryan Holmes. Typical entry point, 10, 15 million for a massive lot, right? Build 300 units. You're talking huge money, right? For one deal, huge money. So Robert's talk that night was change the way you do business. Change the way you think about real estate, change the way you do it. Keep in mind, I've been doing real estate for almost more than 10 years at this point. So that was like, I'm going to a meeting and someone's telling me I should change everything I do after 10 years, right? How would you guys feel? You've done something for 10 years. You go to one event, listen to the guy for 10 minutes, and at the end of it, you're like, man, I gotta question everything right now. How many of you guys have ever felt like that? You've gone to an event, and 10 minutes later, you're like, am I doing anything right? I had to go home and think about this for a while, like, maybe what he's saying is true.
Like people are doing in there.
Maybe this, it's not going to lead to the, how many guys got into real estate in the first place to get that passive income? How many guys dream of passive income? How many guys dream of being investors, like true investors? Investing means like getting all the great deals you can find, right? It starts with getting great deals. Who agrees with that? You gotta get great deals. Those great deals can be on price or terms, right? Either one. It starts with a great deal and it ends with hopefully me getting paid over and over again. But I gotta get great deals in the first place to get there, right? I looked at this model and I'm like, it's great, it looks sexy, people are like, those houses are nice. But at the end of it, what does Josh get here? Josh gets people who want 2-year warranties on new construction. He gets an expense. He gets to go like change someone's bathroom issue after the first 18 months if it's got a little thing on the grout that they don't like, or the drywall has a little crack, he's got to go send his crew out as an expense to muddy it to mud it, you don't get passive income from this opportunity, right? For 10 years, I didn't get passive income from that. You know, what I realized also from this talk was that some of the best deals I'd done those first 10 years were the ones that I bought and just held. Houses I just, boom, here it is, buy and hold it for 10 years. Those houses went up triple. So the house that I bought and held went up triple. I had no tax bill, I had no headache, I had no warranty claims. A good chunk of my, if you want to call it wealth, was not coming from doing that. That's what the big realization was. So what I needed to figure out was, how do I implement what he's talking about here in a matter of 10 minutes? And that led to this. And this actually follows the theme that Charles started with this morning. Have you guys heard of the campfire? Who here knows what the campfire effect is? Guess what, guys? You're at the campfire right now. This is your campfire. We're all sitting around a campfire right now as a community, and we're sharing knowledge. We're sharing ideas. We're sharing what works and what doesn't work. Investors don't like to talk about what doesn't work. How many of you guys have been to events and all they talk about is all their successes? How many of you guys hear about the deal that didn't work? The deal that they lost 100 grand? The deal where the permit office called me on a Friday night and said, Josh, I know you're like 7 days out from a final inspection, and by the way, we issued your permit by mistake. How many of you guys have heard those stories? I experienced that, by the way. So we're at the campfire right now, but keep in mind this was COVID, and I'm thinking from the desk in my house or my office, how can I build a campfire and really learn? How can I get to that next level? Because this by itself didn't take me to that next level. So I'm like, how can I get to that next level? So I talked to Robert about it, and over time, as you see, this was like 2019. You know, relationships don't bud overnight. That's the other thing to keep in mind. I met him in 2019. We really didn't talk a whole lot. I might have talked to him maybe once a year until COVID happens. And the next thing you know, we're starting a podcast on YouTube called Dealmaker Nation. And it was kind of a mutual synergy there. It was like, we became client number 2 of his platform at this point. InvestorLift, nobody knew about it. We're client number 2. I knew it was already a great platform at that point. I knew it was going to have huge potential for not only me and other people. And from his perspective, he wanted to network and get outside of his comfort zone. He wanted to meet people. So the two of us decided to start a podcast. We called it Dealmaker Nation. And through Dealmaker Nation, we built our virtual campfire because we didn't have visibility in 2020. So that virtual campfire ended up becoming Eric Brewer. You guys know Eric Brewer? 356 deals in, what's the town? York, PA, a year. We had guys like Rafael Vargas on, who's talking about making, $3 million in 2 months during COVID. We interviewed a lot of huge players over that year and a half. And I learned a lot from that. That virtual campfire taught me that I needed to rethink a lot of things. Number one, I'm not going to go through every bullet point, but number one was the cash conversion cycle. How many of you guys know what the cash conversion cycle is? A lot of folks don't, so I'm just going to describe it to you real quick. When we were building these houses here, the average deal, we would put something like $300K out. Day one we closed, $300K would go out the window. And we wouldn't see $1 back on most of our deals for even up to a year. So we might get $150K profit back, plus the 300 we put in, but we're waiting a year to get paid. So we're making $150K total over 12 months. What's $150K in 12 months over, what is that per month? If you made $150K in a year, what is that per month? Like 10 to 12K a month, right? You're really making 10 to 12K a month. And you gotta hire people, you gotta support your staff. So I realized that model was, the cash conversion cycle was super long. One deal for 150 was really 10 or 12 a month. You guys can learn what Charles teaches here, right? You can do one deal You can make 15 or 20K in 21 days, right? Your 15 or 20K in 21 days is better than us slugging away for a year on one of these new construction deals. You guys see that? And it's less headache too, right? You don't have to warranty it, you don't have to deal with selling it, you're done. You get paid in 21 days. So wholesaling, in my opinion, is the shortest cash conversion cycle in the real estate space. That's really 40K for the month, right? It was the fastest way to go fast. And it was also the fastest way to get me into how many of you guys know Robert Kiyosaki? You guys know what the B&I quadrant are? Robert Kiyosaki? This is the fastest way, in my opinion, to get into the B&I quadrant. Building didn't get me to the B&I. Building got me a job with high tax. Wholesaling gets me in and out fast, churning cash to buy assets, to become an investor. So if you want to be, who wants to be in the B&I quadrant? Who here got into real estate to be in the B&I? This is going to, what we're going to talk about today is going to get you there. How's that sound? Because I did 10 years the wrong way. I'm going to teach you right now what you need to do the right way. This is going to get you to B&I as fast as possible. So here's where we're at. This is the end result of what I'm going to talk about today. This is where we're at right now. So what I didn't tell you is we blew the entire company up. We took everything, sorry Charles, we owned the cruise and then we threw it all apart. So everything we talked about on the cruise, we took those 5 employees, transitioned them into a new startup, we called it 3-Step Wholesale. We didn't really go full on, I would say, until about mid to late 2020. First deal in 3-Step happened, I think it was like July 2020. By the way, it was from a text campaign. How many of you guys are doing text campaigns right now? It works, right? It works. How many of you guys have done a deal on text campaign 1,500 miles away from your backyard? How many of you guys have done a deal across the country using that? One hand. Anybody else? How many of you guys done a text campaign more than 1,000 miles away? Anybody? 100 miles away? 500 miles away? Who's not doing a deal beyond their backyard? Why are you not doing a deal beyond your backyard?
Just trying to get used to the virtual concept.
Okay. What's holding you back though?
Lots of things.
Okay. Who else is not doing a deal beyond their backyard?
I'm not yet.
What's the reason?
I'm trying to develop a way to actually scale the advertisements that I have. Because I'm like super new to this, but
That's a fair reason. You got to get off the ground first. I should rephrase that. Who's done some deals already and still is not going beyond their backyard? What's the reason?
Got burned in some areas that I went to and got comfortable with where the success is.
Fair question. Fair answer. Anybody else?
Yeah, we started marketing on deals about 11 months ago, so we're building that same exact checklist team that you have there, and then those are the next goals.
How many deals have you done so far?
We're on track this year to do about $1.3 million closed.
And you're not going beyond your backyard. Wow. Okay. Fair. You're gonna change your opinion after today.
And I'm gonna get $1 from Weston when it's all done.
I've been to Orlando maybe once in 15 years. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, is this really gonna work? Like, we're just gonna text these people, never go to these houses, don't know anything about Florida real estate, don't know anything about Orlando. Is this really gonna work? Guy's first deal, 30K assignment, July 2020, first deal. What do you guys think? Couple texts, that's it. A couple texts, got him on the phone. Vacant property. It was a vacant property. It was a little old lady lived, I think, 500 miles away. Just wanted to be done with it. Guess who the buyer was? Hedge fund. Didn't know anything about the hedge funds back then. 2020, hedge funds were kind of mysterious. Now everyone's talking about hedge funds. But was introduced to a hedge fund through another, it was actually, again, a team, right? We didn't have boots on the ground. We had nobody in Orlando. We run into this lady in Orlando who says, I have a buyer. I'll get it done for you. We gave her a cut of the deal, small cut of the deal. She introduced us to Amherst, right? You guys know Amherst Holdings? Based out of Texas? Okay. First interaction with Amherst. Again, comes back to the team, comes back to giving up a piece of the action, right? Here's what our last 6 weeks look like. Today, 3-step. All those deals you see on the map, that's 6 weeks.
Wow.
Central Florida, Atlanta, Macon, Greensboro, Charlotte, Raleigh, Wilmington, Southern Virginia, Norfolk, Richmond. We're all over the place.
And how many of those places you went to?
Almost none. If you ask me to, like, as far as looking at property, none.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Yeah, none. None. So guys, your biggest limitation, what I would tell you today after more than 10 years in the game, let's put this in perspective. Josh the Builder. Josh the Builder is making pretty good money, more than a lot of people. But to be the king of Falls Church, which is what a lot of people look at us like, you're the #1 builder in Falls Church for many years. To be the king of Falls Church, you're the king at 2 to 3 deals a month, maybe, right? You're not getting anywhere close to that in 6 weeks if you're limiting your geography, in my opinion. You're never going to be that if you're saying, I'm only going to do my backyard. So that should be the first wake-up call today. Like, once your systems are in place, I know you said you're making 1.3, man. You're going to go to 10 million. If you implement that, you're going to 10x overnight.
Message.
So once you get some of this figured out a little bit, I know you said you're starting to do your first deals. Like, once you figure out that initial process, you've had some initial success, geography is holding you back. Literally, how many deals literally are there, especially even now? Like, if I look to Northern Virginia today, builders that I know are struggling. There's no deals. Northern Virginia is dry. Forget 2 to 3 deals a month, maybe 1 deal if you're lucky right now. If you're limiting geography, you're limiting your potential, earning capacity, big time. So here's where we're at today: 22 employees, 3 U.S. managers, 6 departments. And by the way, guys, we don't have it all figured out. If I was up here to tell you I had it all figured out, I'd be lying to you. Anybody would be. The faster you grow, the more you get outside of here, things are going to break, right? If I start to add 8 more markets tomorrow, 10 more markets tomorrow, double our staff, do you think it's all just going to work like hunky-dory? It's going to work great, right?
Sure.
Your process is a moving target, guys. You can't know everything out of the gate. That's the other thing, guys. You'll never know everything on day 1. You'll never know everything on day 10,000. It's a moving target. As your business grows, so will you. The company will change.
So what you're saying is, don't be perfect to get started. Just get started. And then after you get started, it's still not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect ever.
I wish I could see light bulbs on top of people's heads right now.
And if it's growing, if it's truly growing, if you are truly growing and learning and failing, that means it's not perfect. We want to push a process or a system until it breaks. If we see that it breaks, we're pushing hard enough. Helen, not to call you out here, but Helen didn't believe either. In the beginning, Helen's like, we're going to shut down building. We're going to stop building 15, 20 houses a year. We're making money. We're going to shut that down and do this? Are you kidding? So you're going to hear people tell you, this is not going to work, Josh. That's not going to work. Helen's pretty happy right now, though.
Are you believing that, Helen?
I feel like I need to defend myself because it's not that I didn't believe, it's that I just really enjoyed the building process because I did all the design, so I hated taking away the creativity to do an office job all day.
Helen, you got to be honest, you didn't believe.
Don't get in trouble, Josh.
I had my reservations, but it's working.
But I would tell you this, refine your sales process. Focus on your sales process. What does it look like? And you got great mentors here in Charles and Tammy and Corey. So I would say your key today is you got to dive deep on your sales process and figure that out.
Like how?
Victor, hey Victor, I'm gonna take that question for you when you go. At the end, I'll cover it for you. Good.
Thank you so much. My question is, when you're talking about scalability and going out of your comfort zone, going out of state, so some states require wholesale licenses. How were you able to navigate that and then, put in a contract without seeing the property and kind of going from there?
To be honest, what's your name?
Abby.
Abby, to be honest, I could talk to you about that for 3 hours, but to keep it really short, wholesaling right now is a moving target. A lot of states since we started 2020 have added what you said is a licensing component. And what Helen and I and the rest of our management team have actually been discussing is that we believe a good chunk of wholesaling very soon, or possibly even in the next year or two, all of it's going to be double closings. That's what we believe. The industry's headed that way.
I agree with you. I think that the temperature is moving from state to state to be licensed agent. And I think that the best way you can counter that right now, and I keep on saying I don't believe I'm going to say this, is for you to get your license. Because I think that that's where it's leading that direction. It's in Philadelphia, it's in Chicago, it's in a couple other states. So we are in a copycat nation where they think they can make money and opportunity, charge licensing fees and so on. Not to mention, and here's my soapbox, the National Board of Realtors is probably the biggest mafia in the country.
I feel attacked.
I'm just saying, there's a lot that is going on right now that they're trying to legislate wholesaling as illegal. It's not, but they're trying to make it so that you have to get that license and kiss the God's swing.
I have something to say, but wait, we have a comment, Brian.
However, to piggyback off the young lady, I'm in the Philadelphia market currently, and as far as the license goes, you still have investor-friendly title companies and attorneys also. They still accommodate investors, wholesalers in Philadelphia. So even though the license, it still is what they're doing up there now, but you still have individuals like title companies that still will close wholesale bids. So it's not like across the board and it's not in stone right now. Even though it is a law, it's still some leeway through there. It's not illegal, but you still can do it, you know what I'm saying? So don't be frightened when I'm saying, go get that money. Get up there.
Tell them what they should do.
Go get that money.
There you go.
I'm playing with it.
Big thing coming soon. Go get that money.
I'm originally from North Carolina. Just wondering, what were the markets in North Carolina you're in?
We're doing a good chunk of the state, to be honest with you, at this point. We have some pinpoint areas like Greensboro, Raleigh, Charlotte, but we're doing a lot of different areas in North Carolina. We're doing areas like Clinton. Helen, you know more about the deals than I do, but there's all sorts of cities she could list off: Gastonia, Concord. We're doing a good chunk of North Carolina.
All right, back to your previous slide. You had 6 departments. Are you going to cover those? Like, what's TC?
I'm actually not going to get into that today.
Okay.
I can't teach you the whole business in a day, but what I'm going to focus in on is the marketing itself. So, okay. But the TC is basically, in a nutshell, transaction coordination. It's the folks on our team who take the deal from under contract with buyer and seller all the way to close.
We will talk about the markets we're in North Carolina, but I wanted to talk about the licensing thing real quick, because one thing we do avoid is like states that do have heavy regulations, we just straight up avoid them. Because we're not in those markets, so to not have issues and have holdups with title and delays, we just, like Chicago has rules on how many deals you can do in a year, so like, if we do a deal or two, that's it for the year. We're trying to do more than that. So to just kind of keep ourselves from running into those issues, we just kind of stay out of certain states, and that's the easiest way to get around it. And up and down the East Coast, they don't really have any regulations like that. I know Ohio started to put in some regulations, Chicago, Illinois has regulations, so we just kind of keep way out of the areas that we know we're gonna have holdups.
Okay.
She said, no, was it?
Abby's also asking, how do you get a deal on a deal you've never seen, right? A lot of that comes down to your phone conversation. And that again goes back to your sales process. So like on our phone calls, for example, we are backed by, we have a lot of construction knowledge, so we're asking the right questions. We also have emulated ourselves after like a bigger buyer. Like most hedge funds, you guys know how most hedge funds buy? They get it under contract and then they inspect it. So contract, then inspect. So we're doing the same thing. Hey, Mr. Seller, we're a pretty high volume buyer. You know, we're not just going to send our professional inspector out there and pay $500-$600 if we don't even have an agreement on price and terms. You wouldn't either, would you? Are you going to pay something for a house you don't even have any agreement for? You're not. So we try to have the proper conversation up front, figure out what that condition looks like. I spent 10 years with our team. Like, how many guys are driving an hour to get to a property in traffic? Then you're sitting on a couch for 2.5, 3 hours. And then you're coming back another hour in traffic. You spent almost one day to try to get one deal. It's not very efficient, right? Here, I mean, we're talking to, in many cases, 15, 20 hot leads a day. You know, each one is 30 minutes or whatever, you know, with our team. So it's all about efficiency too. You want to get in front of the right people and spend as much of your day as possible doing that. To be honest, what I found doing this model versus sitting on couches, it's just as effective, to a certain degree. I mean, you might lose a little bit of rapport, but if the seller actually wants to sell and has the right motivation, you go through the right sales process on the phone, and you know the proper condition, you're almost at the same point as if you were sitting on the couch, in my opinion. So that brings us to today. I'm going to really hone in on Google Ads. I think we've tried all this stuff. Google, we've tried Bing, we've tried Facebook, we've tried YouTube. You know, you guys have heard about Yahoo, IG, TikTok, Vimeo, all these different platforms. But to me right now, based on what we've tried in the red and the results we've gotten today, there's nothing on the planet, at least right now, as good as Google. Nothing. And the biggest part of that, I want you to remember one thing today. Google, if you do Google the right way, you can capture what's called the user's intent. You guys know what that means? If an account is configured the right way, whatever they click on, whatever ad they see, I'm going to hone in on their intent. So let's say, for example, how many guys have done a Facebook ad and the client doesn't really want to sell? They're like thinking about it for the next 4 months. I'll let you know in 4 months if this is a deal. 5 months. How many guys have had that client? What's the intent? There's not a lot of intent there to sell right away, right? With Google, because Facebook is image-based, and I think people are coming up with models that can make that work, but with Google, it's a keyword to capture the intent. It's an ad to capture that intent. It's text-based in most cases. I mean, you are switching video now, but in most cases, I can capture your intent just from a keyword and ad copy that hones in on that. So for example, we talked about cash conversion cycles to this point today, right? Everybody sort of understands that. Do I want to talk to sellers who want to sell in 4 months? Because it's going to take me 4 months to get under contract, another month to close, or do I want to talk to sellers who want to sell today and close in 2 weeks? Which seller do you want to talk to? That's your cash conversion cycle, right? So Facebook, from our experience, the cash conversion cycle was awful. Maybe we were doing something wrong, but I've seen people coming out with new sorts of image and graphics to make it work better, but in our experience as of right now, the intent was always like 2 to 3 months or more. And I don't want that. Do you guys want that? I don't want that. What we get from that is a bunch of acquisition managers who are frustrated because they can't close anything.
And we've done that whole Facebook stuff for a while, and we've cut it off completely. Ever since Facebook had changed their whole parameters around interest and special interest, you can no longer be targeting like you really need to do as an investor. And we found out that, like you just said, 90% of the actual response we were getting were people who, first of all, saw the image and then forgot they saw the image and they filled out a form. It was just ridiculous. So we just cut it off altogether.
I agree. So guys, that's how we got to Google. Scalability, searchability, user intent. By the way, AI, hopefully we're not throwing too many words at you guys, but does everybody know sort of what AI does for you? The learnability, like, sorry man, Jason, right? Jason does something. He goes online and what do you like to search for online? Like used tires for your car, whatever. Paper towels for the closet, laundry detergent, right? Jason goes online, searches for something. AI on Google says, hey, Jason, he bought laundry detergent yesterday. He looked for that. He's looking for it often. He has this sort of customer profile. Let's give Josh over there more people like Jason to sell laundry detergent to. That's what AI is doing right now in the digital ad space. It's finding more customers like Jason who are going to buy your product. So guys, that's huge. Is any other marketing engine doing that in today's world? Are they finding you more Jasons or more Mark? What's in Mark? Are they finding you more Marks to buy your product? Nothing. Nothing. So what we got to do, guys, is we got to take advantage of that AI capability and use it to scale our business, right? Does everybody see that? All right, so in Google, that's what we did. What I'm also going to give you a caveat here, I'm about to show you what we've done at a very high level. And to be honest with you guys, I hired 3 different ad managers in the beginning. I think it was like 3 different ad managers, spent like probably $100,000 plus in ad spend with these 3 different managers. And I got almost nothing. The ROI was like 0, barely broke even. That was the first, how long was that? The first 4 or 5 months, something like that?
Yeah.
First 4 or 5 months, it was just garbage. And then again, the doubt factor crept in. Hell doesn't want to admit it. The doubt factor crept in. And she's like, this business, I don't know, Josh, let's go back to building. So here's how you actually make it work. So I had different ad managers in the beginning set it up, but it didn't work. We got no return. And that's what I'm about to show you now, like how you actually make it work at a high level, guys. To be honest, guys, so these are the 6 core pieces in any sort of ad campaign with Google. It's your website, Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, your ad account, your CRM, and your optimization. By the way, guys, I don't hear anyone ever, no one ever talks about bullet 6. You guys ever hear an ad manager talk about optimization? Ever? Because I never did. Let me tell you in a nutshell what that piece is. We talked about Jason being a customer for laundry detergent, right? I want to find more Jasons, right? I don't want to find more. Corey, you don't buy the same laundry detergent, let's just say.
Are you saying that Jason's supposed to clean it am I feel attacked.
But let's say Jason like shout and you like, what brand do you like?
Tide.
I don't want more Tide customers, right? I don't want to keep paying for the ads and all I get is Tide when I want, bleach. So that optimization piece, this is one of the core ingredients of what most people miss. I gotta optimize for the bleach and get rid of the Tide. Does that make sense to you guys? Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep spending money to get, a bunch of Corys and a bunch of Jasons when I only want Jason.
Dang. I'm gonna go home after that.
So guys, number 6, put a red underline under that because most ad managers, they get it wrong. The form fill the mobile experience should have the form fill somewhere in the middle of the page on a mobile device. The phone number should be highlighted with a push button. And it should all fit in one screen on the mobile handset. If it doesn't, you're probably not having a good mobile experience. Second thing, you go to Google Page Speed Insights. You want to have a page speed of at least like 90. This is actually, guys, I failed on this one, it's 89. But ideally you want 90 plus out of 100. You have to have a really fast site because Google will actually deduct points if your page speed is too low. So you go on a lot of these carrot sites and the page speed is like 50 out of 100. It's super slow. 40 out of 100, 50 out of 100, 60 out of 100. You need really fast page speed to rank well with Google. So these are two of the main components for your website to think about. It's really a landing page that you need. So you need a landing page for paid traffic, really fast page speed, ideally over 90. It's going to vary, by the way, based on your servers that you're hosting on. So when I pulled this, it was actually pulling at 89, but most of the time we're probably getting 90.
Do you create your landing page with a subdomain or with the same home website?
Either one. It could be either one. I've heard different theories on this. Like, I've tried both. I don't see much of a difference, to be honest with you.
I agree, because we're talking about paid traffic.
Correct.
There's a difference if you're talking about SEO.
SEO should be your main page, yeah.
Just like a little something on the side, something that I found is if you're trying to get into like any sort of web-based advertisements, and you're just getting started and you need to cut costs, college students, like junior, senior level, is a really easy way to get web development quickly, and it also helps the college students because it lets them build their portfolio of this is work that I've done, and this is work that I can do. And second part, you can also call Google now. They have a new thing where you can call them and tell them exactly what keywords you want to trigger on like an ad or anything, and they have a really cool way of like, scraping data from wherever you look something up, and it'll give you access to those keywords, and then you can just, whenever you put your ad in, if they search one of those keywords and it like catches it, they'll instantly put your website up there.
Awesome. So guys, last comment on this one, and we'll get to the good stuff. Has anyone ever done a pixel activity study on their website or landing site? Anyone? This is one of the reasons we're actually redoing. I got a Microsoft guy who's like moonlights, and this is what I suggest you guys do. Go to YouTube, go to Measure School on YouTube. It's a phenomenal channel. You're gonna learn way more than I could ever teach you about this. What I have learned in the last 12 months is a lot of top ad managers will tell you, hey Josh, the conversion actions are not set up right. Google Tag Manager is not set up right. It's causing issues in your ad account. I've heard that over and over again from multiple top ad managers. I haven't hired these guys, but that's what they tell you. Honestly guys, from what I know, as little as I know about this, it is critically important you do it right from the beginning. If you skimp over that, your ad account will be messed up. Because the ad account is looking at how does Charles record a conversion? How does Josh record a conversion? What does he consider a good lead, basically? Does Josh consider somebody who clicks on the phone button but doesn't ever call? Does Josh consider that a good lead? Josh over here doesn't consider that a very good lead. If they click and they don't actually follow through with it, it's not a great lead for me. So go to Measure School, learn more about this. I'm not a super expert, but I do know you gotta get it right. Google Analytics is the other piece that gets really technical. It's a necessity for the account. You don't have to be a huge expert in this, but it will help you as you grow your skills. A lot of the higher players will do custom reports on their analytics account. So they'll take their analytics account, generate basically using code like custom reporting, and they'll see all sorts of behavioral patterns about their clients. These are the types of clients that follow through with something. These are the types of clients who don't. This is the time of day they do it. This is the time of day they don't do it. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can hone in on. This is another area I'm not a super huge expert in, but I do know that if you want to really take things to the next level, you got to know something about Google Analytics, and it's got to be integrated to your ad account. From what I can tell you here, like for example, you're seeing traffic activity here, and you're also seeing where it's coming from. Just at a simple dashboard in Google Analytics, I can see where they're coming from, how much time they're spending, how much have I seen in the last 30 minutes even. So that's at a basic level what you're going to get. But you're going to, with custom reports, you're going to get a lot more than that. So now we're at the core of the presentation. We're going to get into Google Ads itself. Don't be scared if you don't know the first 3 things we talked about. There's people out there to help you. There's YouTube channels to help you. So don't make the first 3 core components a reason not to start. Now we're in core component number 4, Google Ad. So ads are configured sort of the following way. You have campaigns, you have ad groups, you have keywords. Those are the 3 main sort of components of Google. At the campaign level, what you're basically doing is you're saying, this campaign sells this service, and that campaign sells this other service. How many people run a business here that sells multiple products or multiple services? What do you sell?
Home improvements.
Sure. Okay. Is it always the same type of home improvement, the same type of property? Do you do townhouses? Do you do single family? Do you do condos?
Right in front of you.
This is going to be a tougher example, Charles. Does someone sell a product? Anybody here sell a product? Anybody?
A physical product?
Like a physical? It's easier to make that a... I'll just give you an example. It's easier to distinguish. Let's say I'm a seller on Amazon, and I sell boots. Let's say I sell cowboy boots. But I also sell running shoes. And I also sell tap dancing shoes, right?
That's an interesting combination.
These are very different products. So like, at the campaign level, I would separate out those products as different campaigns. I'd have one campaign where I'm selling tap dancing shoes. I'd have one campaign where I'm selling cowboy boots. And I'd have a third campaign where I'm selling running shoes. Another way you would separate out campaigns is if you're operating in different geographies. Let's say I'm selling running shoes in Baltimore, right? I have a store in Baltimore, I'm selling running shoes. Well, that demographic of users, that behavioral pattern of users, what they like, what they don't like, what they look for, could be different in Baltimore than if I did the same running shoe ad in San Francisco, right? If I run the same ad in San Francisco, maybe the clientele is a little bit different, what they want is a little bit different. So essentially, at the campaign level, I would also separate out geography. So let's say I'm doing San Francisco running shoes, that would be one campaign. If I'm doing Baltimore running shoes, it might be a second campaign. So at the campaign level, you separate out product, or you separate out service, and you also separate out geography. As a real estate investor, what I can tell you is right now, the only thing that we separate out, because we offer the same service, we don't really have multiple, we separate out geography. Because I can tell you based on experience that what's working in Florida doesn't quite work in North Carolina. What works in North Carolina doesn't quite work in Texas. You're going to find there's little nuances between location that you're not going to capture if you don't separate out your geographies. That's what we've seen over the last 12 months.
So let me ask you a question real quick. I'm gonna base this off of myself, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a realtor. I'm an investor-friendly realtor, and see what I did there. And but I'm looking for more investors, investor buyers. I'm also looking for houses to list, but I'm also looking for houses where people are in distressed homes. So with that, based off of what you're saying, I can have different campaigns in Google.
So I guess to highlight this at a high level, someone in Texas, let's say it's in Dallas, looking for a Sell My House Fast company, they might look for Sell My House Fast. You go to Florida, they might be looking for We Buy Houses. You go to Baltimore, they might be looking for Sell My House Today. So every market has these little nuances that you can't capture 100%.
Right.
If you don't separate out geography. So I think back to your question, say it one more time.
I was going back to where you said like different services and things like that, and how you can.
Yeah, you would separate out your services as campaigns.
Right.
That's correct. But then as an investor, if you were in different markets, you'd probably separate out that as well. Correct. So you could be like investor agent as one campaign, and you could be cash buyer as another campaign, and you could be retail realtor as another campaign.
So, and I guess it could work the same with a fix and flip or something similar with a fix and flip investor, a buy and hold investor, I'm paying cash on this end.
So for us as an investor, we pull it all together because we're just looking for the same, for us, we're looking for that same person. We're not separating out, our seller avatar, for the most part, is the same for us.
Okay.
So I don't know if you'd separate that one out. I would say for you, you'd probably separate out realtor services from investor services.
Josh, you just said something that people probably scratch in their head.
Okay.
Seller avatar.
Okay. Charles, I'll let you take that one.
The seller avatar is the description that you describe of the person who's going to need your service best. That person is, for example, if you're looking for, and this is a targeted seller avatar, if you're looking for somebody who, a probate deal, then you're looking for somebody who has a situation where they just lost a family member, they have equity or no equity in their property depending on the deal. So you're going to break down that description of that person that perfectly describes the lead that you're looking for. That's your seller avatar. Who or what characteristics describe the average person who you target and who comes to you with their actual deals.
Okay.
Message.
So in other words, it's customized, right? It's customized.
So in other words, you customize it to the customers that you're looking for.
Depending on the campaign you're doing, if you're going extremely targeted, it will be extremely targeted based on the characteristics. We in marketing like to say message to market match. That's what you're looking for. What keeps that person up at night? And what is the characteristic that all these leads that come in me have? Well, one of the characteristics is they're behind on mortgage. Another characteristic is they lost their job. Another characteristic is the property has a lot of equity. So all of those can make up an avatar for the perfect seller, depending on the campaign you want to run.
Thank you.
More question?
Well, we have another question.
Based on what Charles just said there, can we say an avatar can be, we can relate it to like the list that you gave us for when we're pulling up list? One of that list could be described as an avatar.
That could be a characteristic of the avatar. For example, if the list is a foreclosure list.
That's right. It could be different in Texas compared to Florida.
Correct.
Would that not be all inside the keyword part? Am I wrong with that?
So remember, there's AI here, right? AI is going to focus on the parameters of the client. So if the client is, let's say for example, like Florida, Florida, the average income is much lower than Baltimore or like DC. The average cost per home is different, the average job is different. So the avatar is going to be different in Florida on the average, right? Versus like say Baltimore, DC. So if your campaign is trying to account for all these people together, it's not going to be as effective. Could you see how that might be?
Yeah, I guess I'm asking like the keywords.
The keywords.
So the
Keywords be the same in each.
They can be, but they can also not be. Like you could, you're going to spend money on stuff that doesn't convert. The name of the game is how can I spend the least to get the most? And what we call that is return on ad spend, ROAS. And we're going to get to the critical failure that most ad managers make in this talk, but that really comes down to, guys, write this one down, ROAS. If you're optimizing for anything but ROAS, you're making a mistake, and most ad managers do not do that. And that's why Josh over here lost like 100K plus in the first 3-4 months, because none of them looked at ROAS. It's like an afterthought. So guys, this slide alone, we got somebody in the house today from, is it Knoxville, Tennessee? Is it you from Knoxville? No.
Raise your hand.
Introduce yourself.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, man.
Wow.
Kendall, welcome. I'm going to make this one slide for you worth your trip because I know you came a long way. So guys, I spent about $50,000 a month back in 2021 on ads. So almost $600,000. Getting the data, looking at the data, optimizing the data. This slide alone is gonna catapult you 10x ahead. Couple things. Actually, I might be sticking to the good part, but let me tell you one thing. So then you got ad groups. Most ad managers make this too complicated, guys. You should not have that many ad groups in our industry. You should not. So keep it very limited. The more ad groups you add, the more jaggedy the whole account's going to get. So keep it to a few ad groups only, especially when starting out. If you're starting out, maybe only do a couple, but keep it very simple out of the gate. A couple ad groups. Within the ad group, does everybody know what an ad group is actually? Let me give you an example. An ad group is like we buy houses. That's the most common one in our industry. Ad group is we buy houses. Everybody knows it, right?
Yep.
We buy houses gets, I don't remember the metric right now, but it's probably like 1 million searches a month. 1 million searches a month for we buy houses. So the ad group could be like we buy houses. Keywords inside of it could be we buy houses cash, we buy houses for cash, we buy houses fast. Those are the keywords within the ad group, right? What we want to do is not have that many ad groups. I've seen ad managers, they got like 30 ad groups, 40 ad groups, like, Josh, we can give you everything. Here's 50 ad groups. The count's going all jaggedy. The AI is trying to figure out, well, what should I focus on? This guy's got a limited budget. I mean, $100 a day and you're trying to give it 50 different ad groups and all these different keywords, it doesn't know what to do. So keep it really simple. You guys might even start an account with We Buy Houses and that's it, honestly. You guys might start your accounts off next week, one ad group, We Buy Houses. No ad manager is ever going to tell you that. Why? Because they want to make some money. So put an ad group in there, We Buy Houses. You want to keep it real simple? We'll put We Buy Houses and We Buy Houses for cash. Those are the only two keywords. That's it. That's your account starting out, guys. Keep it simple. The tighter the ad group, the smaller and more laser focused it is, the better it's going to be for you. And I'm going to show you in 2 more slides why that is. But the smaller the ad group, the more laser focused, the tighter all the keywords are together, the better off you're going to be. Don't be one of these guys or gals who gets an ad group and adds like 50 keywords. Hey Josh, I thought of all the keywords. Here's my top 20. You put them all in the same ad group, it's not going to work. Especially with the way Google works today, which I'm going to talk about. So, one ad group, guys, We Buy Houses. Keep it tight, couple keywords. Here's the transition point. 12 months ago, everybody was talking about, I would talk to ad managers that are like, do phrase match, do exact match. You guys may not know what that means. Do people here know what phrase or exact or broad? Basically what it means is if I'm looking for, let's say I'm looking for We Buy Houses as an exact match. What the user's searching for has to be exactly We Buy Houses. It can't have anything else in that search term. It can't be We Buy Houses fast. It has to be exactly that. If I'm looking as a phrase match, We Buy Houses has to show up somewhere in what they're looking for. So if they're looking for We Buy Houses for cash, and my phrase is We Buy Houses, that's going to be a match, because We Buy Houses is showing up somewhere in what they're looking for. That's phrase. Broad match is the game changer, guys, in the last 12 months, because broad match used to not be that good. And when I started out in this, like, in the beginning, people were like, you got to do phrase, you got to do exact, everything was like that. Your traffic is going to go like this. Because how many people are actually going to search We Buy Houses exact match? How many people are going to search something with We Buy Houses and something close to that in it? How many people do you think are going to search like anything related to We Buy Houses? What's that one going to look like? Someone who's searching anything related to We Buy Houses, you're probably going to get 1,000 times more people, right, looking for that one. So what broad match does for you, with the AI they've been working on at Google for years, it's gotten a lot better now. They're now in the last 12, 14 months finding like anything that has to do with We Buy Houses is a broad match. If Charles here looks for sell my house today, and I'm looking for broad match We Buy Houses, Charles might show up. If Charles is looking for home light, how many of you guys have seen those home light TV commercials?
Yeah.
I get people showing up home light cash, right? Home light cash is coming into our search terms, even on We Buy Houses as a broad match, because they're somewhat related to some level, okay? So with broad match, which is all we do today, by the way, we only do broad match now. When I lost all that money with ad managers, they were like, go really narrow, just do phrase, just do exact, this is all you want. I was getting nothing. The traffic was like that, and I was spending a fortune. With broad match, I'm getting everybody, I'm getting the whole road. I'm getting everybody with broad match, right? But I'm also getting the junk. So I get a ton more people that match up to what I'm looking for, but now I have a bunch of junk mixed in. That's where what we call negatives play a huge factor. So our negative list today is 6,800 terms. There's 6,800 terms in that list that say, hey, if they're looking for We Buy Houses, but they included rent to own a mobile home, I don't want that one. They're searching for We Buy Houses, but it's really looking for a realtor to retail listing. I don't want that one. So you're excluding all these things that you don't want. You're going really broad. You're getting all these people to search for you. But if something comes in that you don't want, the negatives are what take it out and prevent you from wasting ad spend. So my thought for you guys today, one ad group, We Buy Houses. Couple keywords. Broad match, right? You're going to spend money and waste money. You're going to have to start building out your negatives list. You're going to start to see negatives coming in on what's called search terms that you don't want. That could be open door. That could be sell my luxury home. You're going to see all these search terms coming in that you don't want, and you're going to start building out what's called a negatives list to get rid of them. I'm going to leave you with a couple more thoughts on this page. Your bidding strategy in Google, we hear this all the time. What bidding strategy do you use, Josh? What do you use, Corey? What do you use, Charles? The bidding strategy is going to vary depending on the age of your account, how much data you paid for. If you guys are starting out today, you have no data in your account. You're probably going to start with something like maximize click bidding from the beginning. And as soon as you start to get some conversions in that first couple weeks, you're probably going to transition to what's called target CPA bidding. And as soon as your account becomes mature, which means you have at least 40 to 80 plus conversions in that account, which by the way, 80 conversions at the average conversion cost for us is at $200 a lead. What's $200 a lead times 80? 15 grand. So to get to an AI bidding strategy that's actually going to work, you're probably on average going to spend something like 20, 25K because you're going to have some waste in the onset. When you first start that account up, it may not react for a week or two. You might just waste money. But when you get to 40 to 80 conversions, about 25K of spend, that's when you can go to AI bidding strategies and it's going to start to work for you. So for example, like we're doing today, maximize conversions. Maximize conversions, if everything else is set up correctly and optimized, that's going to be the highest performing one, in my opinion. There is something coming online right now. We work with Google directly. I didn't tell you guys that. So since about December, Google reached out to us. They're like, your account's growing really fast. You guys are spending like more than a couple grand a day. We now have 2 account reps at Google work with us. We've tried all these new approaches that Google's teaching. The next one coming next year that people are going to be talking about probably in a year is called max conversion value. We've tested it, it doesn't work right, so stay away from that right now. If you're doing max conversion value right now, you're going to lose money like we did. We lost thousands of dollars for nothing on that one. But I think in 12 months or less, max conversion value will be the bidding strategy that people talk about. Not to get into that one too much here. Other parameters you're going to optimize: location, data, your ad schedule, your customer profile, income. There's a lot of different parameters. I'll touch on a little bit of this here. For location data, we stay out of major cities. So if you looked at our location data, you can draw like a radius around a city. We have a donut hole in the middle. So if you went to like a competitive market like Charlotte, do-it-yourselfers are working, let's only advertise to them. And like business professional, it's not working, cut the ads off for those people. Here's your $50,000 or $100,000 tip from this slide. And I don't know if you guys already caught it. Sell My House Fast has not worked for us as a company in 12 months. And I don't know exactly why, because a lot of people document this and say it's still working. It has not worked for us at all. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of companies like Open Door or OfferPad are paying almost retail and promising people like a fast sale. So they're coming to us with that key term and they're like, let me back out a step. We're getting leads off of Sell My House Fast. We're getting leads, but they're not good. They're thinking we're another Open Door or OfferPad that's just going to give them a retail cash offer and close quick. So my advice, this is based on our data, and maybe somebody else has something different in their location, but based on where we're running ads today, Sell My House Fast does not work. We get bad leads. What has worked really well is take any key term you can think of, add the term cash to it. So take the term cash home buyer, cash house buyer. Buy my house cash now. Anything with cash in it has worked really well. That's been the interesting thing to us as well. Like, for some reason, adding the term cash has somehow led to motivation being there versus not being there. And I can't tell you the answer for why that is, but it seems to be the case.
I have a quick question.
What is the question?
So for Google Ads, it's weird because they have a policy that you only have 3 ads per page. So once you start like putting ads out, you're competing with everybody else around you. So it kind of comes down to how much you pay and also how.
We're gonna get there. I'm gonna get you there. You're on this thing. You've been learning, right? You're studying.
This is what I've been doing on the side.
Okay.
I don't know if you know them, but Felipe and Bruno are, they're Baltimore, but they're my neighbors.
Okay.
They're helping me, and I'm trying to help them at the same time because I'm not a really big, talk to a lot of people person. So I'm happy for the back.
I got you.
They already snatched them up. I was thinking, but they got them all right now.
This is all.
Corey, I think broke again. All right, so guys, from this slide, use the term cash, keep your ad group small, only a couple keywords, build out your negatives. And now I forgot your name, man, Dylan? What Dylan is saying, I haven't had one ad manager talk to me about this slide ever. You guys know what quality score is? Anybody know what quality score is? Anybody looked at their ad account and looked at what their quality scores are? Quality score is the relevance between your ad copy, your keywords, and your landing site. I guarantee you there's nobody in the country mentioning this slide. At Google they are. So you want to have quality score as close to 10 as possible. The highest quality score you can have is 10. The lowest is 1. If you have a quality score of 10, you're going to be very competitive when you bid on a keyword, for example. So let me highlight for you how this works. Let's say advertiser number 1 has a quality score of 10, and they're willing to bid $2 a click, okay? Advertiser number 2 is bidding $4 a click, but their quality score is only a 2 out of 10. Let me show you what the difference looks like here. In order for advertiser number 2 to outbid advertiser number 1, they're going to have to spend at least $3 a click, if not more. Basically, the bottom line here is that you don't want to be advertising with quality scores. Oh, sorry, man. The bottom line here is you want to look at your ad account. If your quality scores are all really low, you're spending a lot more in budget than you should be. And really what that means is that you've either got the wrong keywords in the account, or the keywords don't correlate well to your ad. Like you're saying one thing with your keyword and the ad is telling you something else. And then they go to the ad and the ad is not relevant to what's on your landing page. So the 3 of those things are just not sending the same message. If your landing site, your keywords, and your ad copy don't send sort of the same message to the client, you're going to get a low quality score, and you're going to end up bidding way more than somebody else to get the same ad out there.
So consistency is key, and consistency can save you money.
100%, 100%. If I'm advertising on a quality score of 2, I mean, we haven't really gone through the example, but I could easily spend like double or triple somebody else to get into that first or second ad position. That's the bottom line. So take a look at your ad count, look at your quality scores. If you got really low ones, you might want to rethink about, what's causing that. Is my ad copy not great, or is it my keyword selection, or is it my landing site itself? You got to look into that deeper. We're getting to the end here, guys. I know we're getting kind of technical. On this slide, these are the other metrics that I never heard an ad manager tell me about. Never looked at any of these metrics as an ad manager. What's your search impression share? Out of the total available impressions to you, out of the total number of people looking for what you offer, what amount of time are you actually showing up? If there's 1 million impressions out there of people looking for laundry detergent that I want, of that 1 million people, how many times am I actually showing up where they could click on something if they wanted to? If your search impression share is like 5%, I've seen accounts where it's like 5%, 8%. If your search impression share is really low, your customer's not going to see you. Your click-through rate means of the times they see you, how many times are they actually clicking on your ad? That number, write it down, should be somewhere between 3 and 6%. If you're doing this right, that should be at least 3 to 6%. So 3 to 6% of the time, your customer sees an impression for you, an ad, they should be clicking on it. If they're not, there's something wrong with that ad, or the keyword, or something else. Something else configured in the account. Conversion rate. This is how often is a click on your ad going to actually convert to a lead. When you start your accounts up, if you're going to start an account, who here thinks they're going to start an account next week and just try this out? Put a We Buy Houses ad group together, put some keywords in there, spend $100 a day maybe. Who's going to try an account next week? Nobody?
That's easy.
Nobody. Nobody.
That's too hard.
$100, put $100 a day on it, right? Pick a city like Baltimore, put $100 a day, put one ad group, put a couple keywords. This conversion rate out of the gate is probably going to be for you like 5%. For every time someone clicks, you might get 5% to convert into a lead. But if you start to what we call optimize the account, our ad account today is about 35%. 35% every time someone clicks on our ad, it's converting to a lead. So it's gone from 5% when we started to 35%. That's where you're going to grow your account to optimize. So if you're only getting 5% of your clicks into a lead on day one, don't worry about it. It's normal. You're going to optimize your ads over time. And you're going to get up to like probably 35 or even maybe more. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So look for this out of the gate to be about 5 if you're doing it right. Lost IS rank. This lost IS rank is another thing ad managers don't look at. This is telling you how much traffic are you losing because basically your quality score, your ad relevance is not there. I've seen accounts where lost IS rank is like, 50, 60%. You're losing 50 to 60% of your traffic because you don't rank well. And you don't rank well because your quality score is awful. So take a look at your lost IS rank if you're already running an account. If it's really high, it's not a good sign. The last one is your budget, and this one, it's going to show up in your ad account as well, but basically what that tells you is if you're, I guess you could say you're trying to do too much. You're trying to advertise on $100. Let's say Corey over here spent $100 a day, and he's advertising in Baltimore on $100 a day, and he's also doing, Silver Spring, Maryland, and he's running it 7 days a week. He might have a really high lost budget because he's trying to do too much with $100 a day. That lost IS budget is going to tell you if your budget is spread too thin. He's trying to advertise here and there, but the budget's too small.
That's how I lost my head.
So guys, if you do all this right, and by the way, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'll give you my contact at the end. You can follow me on Facebook. Ask me a question if you have it. But if you do all this right, I'm not, as Charles said, I'm not a guru. I don't know if you guys can see this screen. You guys see this little blue dot there? That red dot is actually Open Door. Everybody knows Open Door?
Yeah.
We're right up there with Open Door in almost every market we're advertising in today. And if you notice, here's the rest of the pack down here. There's a green dot, we buy houses in the middle.com. There's the yellow one from Mark Spain, but we're as close as possible to Open Door right now. But actually what we did find was if we passed Open Door, it actually hurt our performance. We were actually getting worse leads for whatever reason. Maybe because we're ranking top of the page when we really want to rank second place. But if you do all that and you do everything I'm talking about today right, that's the end result you get. You're going to rank up there with Open Door in these markets. The other two tools I really like, check out semrush.com and spyfu.com. These tools actually tell you what your competitors are doing. They allow you to look into the back of your competitor's website and ad account and see, like, here's the keywords your competitor uses.
So I could look at Josh's website and see all the keywords that Josh is using.
You can.
And ethically steal some of Josh's stuff.
You can. So, semrush.com. And if you want a cheaper version, go to spyfu.com. It's about $79 a month. So spyfu.com, $79 a month. That really comes down to, Charles, should I skip? We're almost at the end. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to skip through my CRM and go right to this slide right here. We're almost at the end, guys. So basically what Charles means by this is the following. Most ad managers that you hire only look at your ad account. That was the problem that I had. They only looked at what was in the ad account. Nobody was saying, Josh over here has an operations team in-house that looks at all the data on a daily basis. So Josh does have an operations team. This is our CRM. Our operations team on a daily basis is saying, like, what leads have come in, where did they come from, are they good, are they not good, are they hot? We're categorizing all that stuff on a daily basis, and we're taking that database from our CRM and saying, okay, where are we actually making money right now? What in our Google ad account is actually bringing in revenue that I can translate to in our CRM? If I looked at my CRM and said, this is where the revenue came from, this is where we made money this month, what leads are those actually in the Google ad account? You ask that question to about 10 different ad managers, you'll get a blank stare. They'll be like, I just manage your ad account. Like, I don't know. You have to be able to look at both sides. You got to be able to look in your CRM and say, like, this is what's actually making money. And you've got to be able to correlate that back to what's in the ad account. So your ops team, which is working in-house for you, is analyzing your leads daily. And your ad manager usually only optimizes the ad account on its own. So when we're doing it in-house, we're looking at both sides of the puzzle, right? We're looking at the ad account on the left side, and we're looking at what's converting actually into closed revenue on the right side. And we're saying that's the key word right there. That keyword yesterday at 4 o'clock with this time zone and that geography converted to that $10,000 fee or whatever. You're correlating an exact thing in your ad account to revenue. What do you guys think we're going to do with everything in the ad account that doesn't work?
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it, right? We're going to get rid of it. What do you think your ad manager is going to do? He doesn't know. The ad manager doesn't know what's working. He has no clue. You go through 4 ad managers, they're like, oh, we'll just run it. We'll run it for 3 months, we'll run it for 4, we'll do this, we'll do that. He has no clue what's actually converting into actual revenue. And when you actually equate revenue to your ad account, you're going to be like, man, 90% of this stuff is garbage, it's not doing anything. 90% of this stuff is leading to lost spend. 90% of this stuff is leading to bad leads. 90% of this stuff is giving you a retail deal. That's how you get from 5% conversion to 35% conversion, because you're looking through everything and saying this is all retail leads, garbage, no revenue, waste of ad spend, and this little 10% sliver over there, that's all we need to run to actually make deals happen. So that's what your ad manager doesn't do for you that you've got to learn how to do or teach them how to do. Right now, I'm experimenting, Charles, with a new guy. where we are working together to sort of teach him what we're looking for and see if he can optimize it with our sort of relationship together. But that's the first time I've tried that.
How did you find him, Josh?
He's like a Microsoft guy that moonlights at night. So he's got impressive like skill sets, so I'm like just trying it out. But I think the key there is the communication. Like he's got to be open to understanding that you don't want everything. You want only stuff that converts to revenue. So we got to still work together and talk about what's working and what's not. So guys, this is your key piece here. Optimization. What is actually bringing in the revenue? Can you look at your ad account today and say like, hey Josh, this is actually what made me $20,000 on that wholesale fee last month. If you cannot say that, and maybe most of you cannot, most people I talk to cannot, you are losing money. You are spending a ton of money on Google Ads and you are losing. You've got to be able to look in your Google Ads account and say like, hey, that's what cost $20,000, and that's just garbage, I'm wasting my money. Two of the things we do to do that is we capture what's called UTM parameters. If you guys don't know what that is, write it down. I didn't know what this was 6 months ago either. It's not in any book I read. UTM parameters. Google Ads will pass what's called UTM parameters from your ad into your website. And all you gotta do is figure out with your website guy, how do I capture those parameters? So if you capture the UTM parameters from your ad, it looks like this. I can see what source it is, what campaign it's from, if it's mobile or computer, what keyword they look for, if it was a broad match. I can capture all this data about what it is they actually searched on to generate that lead. So I'm looking at a lead now and like it converted to revenue, I know where it came from. The other side of that too is another thing probably most of you guys don't know about. I didn't know about this even up to about 4 months ago. There's something when you submit a web form on Google, it's called the Google Click ID. If somebody goes on a website and submits a web form, you can capture that Google Click ID in your web form. Most Carrot websites, by the way, can do this. I had to actually reach out to Carrot to ask them how to do that. It could be done like literally in 20 minutes, but Carrot themselves, as investor-friendly as they are, don't advertise that you can capture the Google Click ID. You literally just have to have one invisible form and you got it.
Wait a minute.
So, Josh, does any other like do-it-yourself type of website that you can create a lead page, like Wix or anything else, can you capture that UTM parameters?
You should be able to as long as you set up the fields to be there to capture it, correct.
Okay. And the second question, for someone starting out with this, I don't know what you're doing. For somebody starting out who's, again, learning Google Ads, what kind of budget would you consider?
I think if you're spending $100 a day starting out, you're good. But keep in mind, like this is a data game. Until you get to 40 conversions or more, it's hard to scale up. So with $100 a day, you may not get a whole lot. It could take you 3-4 months to get anything. I mean, you might get some leads coming in very gradually in the first month, but at $200 a lead, when you're starting an account up, it might be $400 a lead when you start it up, right? So at $400 a lead, $3,000 a month, you might get like 7 leads for the month. And then you're going to start to improve it a little bit, you're going to spend a little bit more money. Maybe by the second month, you're getting like 15 leads a month on that ad spend. It's going to scale. But keep in mind, the more you spend, the faster you spend, the faster you're going to grow.
But you gotta also keep in mind, those 3 leads a month, those 7 leads a month, those 15 leads a month, you better have a process in place for conversion when it comes to negotiation and closing. Because people will blame it on the actual leads when it's actually the person who's trying to negotiate and structure the deal.
That's huge right there. Like you can get all this right, but if you don't have the systems to get the rest of it done. So all the training you do here with Charles, I mean, closing deals, negotiating deals, knowing what to lock it up for, you got to have all that stuff like figured out before you try to do this. 100%.
All right, so basically you need like a $12,000 to $15,000 budget to start out.
Right. No, $100 a day, you can start. You'll get something.
I'm thinking like 3 months forward, like because you're not.
You're going to get leads. The average Google lead, if you're a good closer, is 1 out of 10 to 1 out of 12 you can convert to a deal. So if you get $100, if you're spending $100 a day, let's say that first month you spend $3,000, you get 7 leads, you're not quite to one deal. If you want to get definitely to one deal, maybe you're going to spend a little bit more. But on average, if you're a decent closer, 10 to 12 leads to get a deal. So 100, 150 a day, you'll get there. Personally, I don't like Saturdays. We don't advertise on Saturdays. We do Sunday through Friday. So if you want to save some money, don't do Saturday. What we've looked at in our data is it's a bunch of tire kickers for us, at least for the most part. There are some, but if you look at it as a percentage, the percentage of closed deals on a Saturday for us is a lot lower than Sunday to Friday. On this notion right here, another thing that is coming, you wrote down UTM Parameters. Another thing that is going to get worked out on Google in the next 12 months or less is what we call offline conversion tracking. And that is you're teaching Google through offline conversion tracking what actually are the good leads. You're telling Google, like, this was a good lead, that was a good lead, this was a good lead. Just like we talked about Jason in the beginning today, like Jason buys, whatever it was, Tide. Jason buys Tide, for example. You're telling Google, like, this person bought Tide, finding more people that bought Tide. So offline conversion tracking, they're working the kinks out right now, but that's huge.
Is that something that would be kind of into lookalike audience?
Correct. But you're telling Google, like, hey Charles, these are the ones that actually converted to deals.
Right.
I only want to see more of that.
Right. Okay.
It's the feedback loop. It's not working quite right now, but give it 6 to 12 months and that's going to be a game changer, in my opinion. So offline conversion tracking with max conversion value, I think by next year we're all going to be talking about that. It's almost like scary, like sci-fi, that it's going to find exactly what it's looking for. So guys, starting out of the gate, you're going to have to optimize, track your account, like, I would say once a week at minimum, out of the gate.
Tell me what that means.
Basically looking at like what keywords, actually when you first started up, wait 2 weeks. First started up, don't do anything for 2 to 3 weeks. After those first 2 to 3 weeks, you might make 1 or 2 changes, maybe once a week, but don't do too much. Every time you touch that ad account, you're throwing it out of sync, and it potentially could go back into learning mode. So if you're making changes, don't do too much. Set the account up, keep it simple like we talked about. Don't do anything for 2 to 3 weeks. After that 2 to 3 weeks, you're gonna have some data in there. You're gonna have maybe 4 or 5 leads, 6 leads. You might have some idea about what worked, what didn't work, where did you spend money, where did it not convert, what kind of clicks did you get. You're gonna shut off some of the stuff that didn't convert. You're gonna keep on the stuff that was converting. And we're gonna keep going from there. Like you might see a certain ad copy you were putting out there. Let's say you started out with 3 ads. One of those ads got 4 leads, the other 2 got none. Which ad would you turn off after 3 weeks? The 2 ads out of 3 that got none, right? One location got 4 leads, the other 2 got nothing. What location would you consider turning off? The 2 locations that got nothing. You look at, I did for like 12 months this Saturday, you're like, Saturday I got a few deals, but it's really not great. I mean, conversion is like 1 in 20 leads versus 1 in 10. Which one would you turn off? You turn off Saturday, right? Keep everything else on. You're gonna go through your entire account and you're gonna see Google has like 500 parameters in there, right? I can tell you that back about a couple months ago, I was looking at this in more detail when I had a little bit more time. Almost every deal we had was on a mobile device. Almost every single one, except for maybe 2 deals for that month. So 2 out of whatever is computer or tablet. Which one, and by the way, computer and tablet were costing more money to get that lead. It was like double the cost on computer and tablet to get the same lead. Which one are you gonna turn off? Computer and tablet. What is your account manager doing? What does your ad guy do for you? I had 3 or 4 of them. Hey Josh, this was a good week. You had 4 leads. Hey, 5 leads this week, Josh. It was good. I'll talk to you next week, okay? Make sure you spend $2,000 on my management account this month, okay?
Now guys, when he said ad manager, he's talking about hiring an outside ad company as opposed to bringing somebody inside in your business. That's what he's talking about.
Hiring an ad manager, that's what my experience was. Let's talk next week, Jason. We'll see what happens next week. It wasn't like, hey, Jason, these locations don't work. This mobile doesn't work. But he also doesn't know because he's not seeing the CRM side of your website. You got to analyze your CRM and bring that data to that ad manager to make it work. So guys, 3 weeks, don't do anything. Maybe then you touch it once a week. And then as it grows and you start to see results, you're not going to touch it very often, maybe once a month. But the more you touch it, the more changes you make to it, you could potentially knock it off course, knock it out of sync also. So be careful on that. Guys, a final few thoughts on Google Ads today. Just remember that everyone's ad account is going to be at a different level. If you ask somebody, hey Josh, how's your ad account configured? You know, I've been into this 18 months now. My ad account's probably configured a lot different than how yours would be if you started tomorrow. So keep that in mind, like how you configure your ad account, listen to some speakers on stage. It's all going to depend on how much data you paid for, how long you've been running it. But I've given you the keys today to start. Like you're going to start with that maximized conversion bidding. You're going to start with one ad group probably, maybe two. You're going to start with only a few keywords. You're going to be creative. You're going to create like 2 or 3 different ad copies. Be creative. You guys all have that in you. Just keep it simple, guys. And I know some of you guys are thinking up here right now, like, I can't do this. It's too much. How many of you guys are thinking I can't do this right now? It's too much. He's telling me all these details, and I really don't want to hear all that. It's really not that bad, guys. Just like, get started. Keep it simple. And remember another thing, guys. It very much is quality over quantity. You hear a lot of these people talk about, I got 20 leads today. I got 30 leads today. You hear that all the time, right, on social media? Guess what, guys? We don't care. We don't care if you got 20 leads today. Why? Because your ad account might be configured where you're getting 20 garbage leads. You might be getting 30 garbage leads. What I do care about, out of those 20 leads, did I get 2 or 3 hot ones I can close right now today? That's all I care about. How many hot leads did I get today? I don't care if you got 20 leads, 30 leads, 40 leads, 1 lead. Hey, if you got 1 lead, but it's a $100,000 assignment, and that's the only lead you got today, is that success? People online on Facebook are confusing what success is for this. Success is not that, it's quality. Remember that. If your account is configured right, you start to optimize it right, quality is going to go up, quantity is going to go down. By the way, keep that in mind, quantity is going to go down, quality is going to go up if you start to optimize your account correctly. Keep that in mind. National wholesaling, you have a lot of gurus talking about that right now, right? Don't do that. We can get into that for an hour, but don't do that. Be very specific about what you do, like region-based, like pick 6 or 8 or less. When you're starting out, pick 1. Pick 1 in the beginning. But don't go to this national model because in my opinion, it's very inefficient. Even if you can get the deals, can you sell them?
Well, the issue with going national is you don't have proof of concept.
You don't.
You want to at least start off with proof of concept before you move into another one.
But even if you go national, the struggle is that, first of all, the geography is way too wide. You can't optimize it properly. Second of all, you get deals in all these random places, and you have no infrastructure to support all that, so your whole operation becomes very inefficient. When we scaled back from national to regional, that's when the business started to take off.
And not to mention, it's hard to learn the market of a whole nation versus a few regions.
Very hard. And you need buyers. I mean, if you had 20 deals this month and each one was in a different state, there's no repetition there. It's not the manufacturing plant. You're starting over again on every deal, right?
Exactly.
So when we took away the national concept, went back to regional, that's where this has really worked for us. Spend money to get the data. That's really what you're doing. I've heard ad managers at Google say like, hey, such and such company dropped $500K in the first month. Why? Because they want the data up front. They want to get the data as fast as they can to grow the account with the right data later. So let me tell you this as well. The more you can spend in that first 30 days, the better, because you're going to get that data. And once you have the data, that's what you're going to spend more on. So that's kind of the catch-22 here, is that spend as much as you can afford in the first month. Don't be crazy about it. But once you have that data, that's what you're going to try to grow. So without data, we have nothing. And this is where you end up when you do this right. When you do this right, you get 10 to 15 leads a day. That's what we're getting right now. We get 2 to 3 hot closable deals a day right now. The only reason we haven't scaled this further, to be honest with you guys, is because our operation is not ready to support it. The back-end system is not there yet. But 10 to 15 leads a day, 2 to 3 hot a day, average deal size is right around there. And that comes back to knowing your CRM as well. So when I looked at the end of 2021, we've been doing all these Midwest markets. We were doing Ohio, we were doing Indiana. And guess what do you guys think was the average wholesale fee in those markets? 10. What do you guys think was the average ROAS, return on ad spend, in those markets? 3 to 5x. 3 to 5x ROAS. Write something else down. Ad managers tell you the ROAS is 3 or 3.5. It's not going to work. That doesn't work, period. An ROAS of 3, I'm going to close the operation. I can't afford to stay in business. What I look at in our business right now is ROAS is at least 10x. I want to get 10x. 3x is not going to cut it. You'll interview a lot of managers, they'll be like, I'll get you 3x. I'll get you 3.5. No, I'm not here for that. Ohio, Indiana, a lot of these Midwest markets, we have to shut them all down because we're getting like 3 to 5x. That was it. And it's not working. These are all the final pieces you need to support everything behind this. So like, you get this ad account working, you're starting to get these leads. Now we got to get the operation to support it. Get the operation behind all of this, right? I'm not going to go into all this. But that's just a quick summary of the core ingredients. It's taken us about almost 18 months to really refine all this and get all the processes and standards and procedures in place. You even got to worry about onboarding. You know, honestly, how many of you guys think about onboarding employees? Like, that's become a huge issue for us. Like, how do we onboard and train people properly now? How do we bring them into the culture where they're going to stay? So onboarding is something I didn't even think about 18 months ago. And now it's a critical issue. Finally, I'll leave you with some final thoughts on where we're at today. And first of all, Charles and Tammy, I appreciate you guys having me out here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.